Alrighty, now you can see why we need four-wheel drive to get in and out of here. And we got more rain coming in tomorrow night, so this old red clay is gonna be slick. I might be, once I get in here, I might be in here for a while. Okay. This old red clay, man, this stuff is slick. Now it is getting steep and really starting to slide around here. But you know, these old Toyota 4-bangers, man, they're just about indestructible. You just about can't kill them. You got a steep hill coming up. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Morning. It is a beautiful day in the woods, and welcome to Trapper's Camp. Let me show you around and we'll survey my kingdom. Alright, there is the Meat Trapper Express, the old trusty Toyota. That belongs to the landowner, and that's really the only way to get in and out of here, other than a four-wheeler or something like that, because we are back in the woods. And this is just a simple carport, and it must have taken a Herculean effort to get all of this back here and get everything set up. But basically there's a hard foundation down there. You got the carport, and then I haven't cleared everything out. Just got in last night, unloaded my gear, but you can just see I just lined everything up along the sides, put my cot in the middle. Got a little lighting up there, strung up a little bit of a clothesline. But basically this is my cooking supplies right here. I have everything organized by bin. Little solar lantern, that's called a Lucy light. That thing works really well. If you've never seen these, I would check them out. Maybe I need to do a video on that. Then this was my sleeping gear, all in this bin. Speaking of sleeping gear, I'm using an Alaskan Guide, what is their name? Alaskan Guide Cot, and this is a very nice cot. It's got a little bit of sag in it, which I was surprised. It comes with the little arm to help you assemble it. You do not need that arm at all, because this is not tight. I'm used to a military cot that is really tight, but the thing is plenty long, plenty wide. Then I've got their 3-inch pad that I use, and of course the wiggy bag and the pillow. And I tell you, with that setup right there, I slept like a king. I slept better on that last night than I do at home, especially out here in nature. I love it. But then I got a couple of Yeti Coolers here, and hopefully those are going to be full of meat before too long. Then I've just got a regular old cooler for food that I keep all of that in, box of knives. Got some water. This is local well water, shot glass. This is not local well water. Welcome to the South, fellas. And then a couple of gear bins, a gym bag with some extra clothes, stuff I'm going to be testing. That's a box of Reconyx game cams. Let's see, infrared illuminator. Going to do some night vision work. Hoop net. Got my rain gear hanging up over there. Some rubber boots, hip boots, and of course my throne there to survey my kingdom. And just getting going here in the morning. Got my Fremont foot snare. We're going to play with that. Hopefully add to some hog snares. Got my trusty 22 pistol, and this is something new. I really like this rifle. This is an old Remington 550, And this rifle has a manufacturing code of November 1950 on it, so it doesn't have a serial number, which drove the people at the gun shop nuts, trying to fill out the paperwork. They couldn't figure out how to fill it out if the rifle didn't have a serial number on it. So we got to have government control. But this rifle, what makes this rifle unique is it'll shoot 22 long rifle, 22 longs, and 22 shorts. And you can feed them all through the tube in any order, and it has a floating chamber, so it'll shoot all the cartridges that you load into it, regardless of what size they are. So I think that's and it shoots like a dream. You know, the thing is, it's got a beautiful stock on it. Bluing is perfect. They just don't make guns like that anymore. That's camp, and that's where I'm going to be spending the next few days. It's really peaceful, really remote, and way back in the woods back in here, which I like a lot. There's some hog sign, and there's plenty of beaver sign, so there should be plenty to do. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be testing and making some videos on. But having a hard time getting going this morning. I don't know, something about just decompressing, coming out of the city, the drive over here. It was just insane. It took me an hour to get out of Birmingham alone, just with rush hour traffic and bumper to bumper traffic. Stopped dead on the interstate, you know. Then I started clearing some of the bigger cities, and it was just construction and accidents and traffic the whole way. There were a lot of times I was doing 20 miles an hour on the interstate, and it's amazing what a pressure cooker and how much frustration and rage the city can engender. And then you finally get out here, and it's going to take a while to decompress. So I'm going to get going in a little bit, and the first thing I'm going to do is set some hog snares, and I'll put that foot snare in the ground. Got a little place right up at the top of the hill the hogs have been using, and they'll be looking for some Indian points. I found a little piece of fire rock here last night, which is a rock that they used to make a fireplace, and it's got charred remains on it. But there's a lot of points laying around in this area. So it ought to be a good trip, and hopefully I can catch something and get rid of some of these things for the landowner in the process. And we'll update you as we go. Man, is it a beautiful morning. Now, I found one trail, and I've snared it right up there. You can see my marker, and I'm just walking, okay? Because walking is the best way to actually find sign. It's hard to do from a four-wheeler or from a truck. So come on down just a little bit, and I want you to see that. Hopefully that'll show up on camera. But this is an extremely well-worn trail, and when we come in here and look at it, it has got fresh hog sign all in it. And this is a creek bottom. You can see all the river cane and everything down in there. They're all down in there rooting up, and they've got these trails coming in and out. So what I'm going to do, now notice if I set here, I've got to have a long enough extension to tie off. That's why you always see me with my snares with extension cables already attached, and I carry extra extensions because I can either tie off to that tree or to that clump. Now what I'm going to do for hogs, I like to anchor high. I want a shock absorber effect, and I don't want them to be able to run directly against the cable. I want them to be pulling at an angle to reduce the amount of pressure they can exert on that cable. So I'm going to anchor to that clump of trees, and I'm going to snare right there, but I would never put one snare in a trail this hot. So I'm going to go and I'm going to trace up and down through the woods here, and I'm going to put 2, 3, 4, 5 snares on this trail. So let's get started. This right here is all I need to make the set. I've got a piece of number 9 wire. I put a bend in the bottom. That's going to go down in the ground. The purpose of that bend is to keep it from swiveling around. If I just stuck a free end in the ground like that, that can swivel around in the ground. But when I put the bent or the U-shaped end down there, that acts as an anchor, and it stabilizes that piece of wire. I'm just going to stick that in. That's my snare support. I've got my snare with extension cable already attached. So let's do this and I'll show you just how simple this is. Alright, now the first thing I do is I always set my snare and anchor it to the tree. You do not want to forget to tie it off to the tree, so do that first before you do anything else. Just take the end of the extension cable, take the snare loop end, and pass it through. That is now tied off to this entire clump of trees. I open my loop up, and I'm going to adjust the loop size to depending upon the track size of the animal. So I think this right here is going to be good. That's it. Now here's a good example of gang setting. I've got a trail coming up, heading on up. I've got snare number 1, snare number 2, and then I don't know if you can see it, but snare number 3 right there in the center of that picture. So I've got 3 snares on the same trail in about 10 or 15 yards. Alright, well, we got some traps out this morning, so it's time for a little brunch. We got some wild hog sausage and a couple of farm fresh eggs, and this is going to come in handy. You're going to hit the spot, I can promise you. And I tell you, there's nothing like real farm eggs compared to what you buy in the store. You can see the main thing is you don't wash these eggs, it'll help them last a little bit longer. But when you crack these open, you'll see just how dark the yolks are, and just nothing like it. And I tell you, I'm starting to get hungry. Well, here I am doing what I do best, and that is busting droughts. If any of you watching are in a drought, invite me trapping. I will break your drought, trust me. It seems like every time I go out of state, I bring rain with me. It doesn't matter what state it is. But anyway, I had a good day. I've got a lot more sets out. I found a really nice hog wallow. I'm going to shoot some footage of that when the rain lets up, or else tomorrow morning. I gang set it. So I'm hoping we'll have something in the morning. And if not, we still have a few more days. The issue that I'm running into on this property is that recently it flooded. The creek came up. And what that did is that pushed all of the hogs out of the property. Now the water is starting to recede. Hopefully they'll come back and they'll start picking up on their old trails and get into some of my snares. But that's just, you know, that's the way it goes. You just never know. So I'm going to get some dinner going, and I've got some venison burger and some beans. Nothing wrong with that. I'm have a adult beverage or two, and once it gets dark, hopefully this rain will pass by. And that's another thing. I don't have a cell signal out here, so I don't have any idea what the weather's going to do. And that's why I always bring a little portable AM/FM radio. So I'm going to turn that on, see if I can get an idea what the weather is doing, and hopefully make a plan for tomorrow. Well, it rained all night long. Just a steady drizzle, you might say. So now the woods are nice and damp. It's a chilly morning, misty, but it really is beautiful. I don't know if we've had any luck. I'm going to go check my sets. I've got another location to go to and put out some snares for coyote. Been causing some problems, and the landowner wants them gone. But just a beautiful, beautiful morning. Alright, we've got a nice hog wallow here. You can see we got a wallow there. They've been all over in here, rubbing up against the trees. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got snares on all the approaches. There's one right there. And what I'm talking about gang setting this stuff is you need to set all over the place. So I've got 1, 2, 3 snares set because there are 3 approaches to this. Now we had rain all night last night, and there's been no fresh sign here. Hopefully they will come back before I have to pack up and go home. But if not, basically I'll go through with the landowner and I'll point out each one of my sets, and then he'll be able to check them, because it is very difficult to come in, depending upon the weather, and start catching hogs overnight. So anyway, let's go on down to some other sets, and we'll see if there was any activity on those. Well, fellas, my trip here is winding down, and it's been a tough trip as far as productivity goes. Before I arrived, there was a big storm that came through. The water level on the place rose, and you can see it's a fairly low-lying area. And what happened is that pushes the hogs out. And so in the couple of days that I've been here, there's been very little in the way of fresh activity or fresh sign. That's just that's the way it goes. So what we're doing is the landowner, as the water recedes and the hogs move back in, the landowner is going to be running the sets, running the line that I've set up. And also I've shown him exactly what I do, exactly how I do it, and why. And hopefully going forward he can take care of his own hog and coyote issues as they arise. But you know, even though it wasn't a productive trip meat-wise, I had a wonderful time. It's always great to get out and to see new country, and to visit new areas, make new friends, and just get out and make those memories, you know, live life and enjoy it, and get out of your routine, get out of your rut, and go do stuff and just see how it works out. So anyway, I appreciate you coming along. I hope it was worth your while. But what I'm showing you is reality, nothing staged or fake. And you don't always stack them up. You don't always fill the truck or fill the boat up. You know, sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. And this is one of those times, but that's okay. So thanks for coming along, and we'll see y'all next time. Well, if you like what you saw, please consider going to patreon.com/meattrapper and becoming a Patreon supporter. I'll put a link below the video here. By doing so, you can unlock a lot of bonus content available nowhere else. For example, I've got over 100 episodes of Meat Trapper Radio, which is my podcast, that are available nowhere else. They're archived there. You have access to my resistance trapping series, which is trapping from a militia or resistance scenario where you have minimal equipment and no outside support, and as well as bonus content that I add from time to time, whether it be hard to find movies, out of print books, that sort of thing. We have a great community there, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.